Hey everybody, welcome to another con support video. This time it's on two-step equations with decimals and fractions. So let's get started. Let's go. All right. So we have here n over 5 plus 0.6 equals 2. Let's do this first problem. Let me get rid of that and change to the pen. There we go. That's better. So like we said, that is... Let me zoom in a little bit, make this a little bit better for us to see. Let me move this over a little bit and scroll up. Sorry guys, just a little, making it cleaner and clearer for you guys. All right, anyways, as I was saying, it's n divided by 5, right, plus 0.6, and that is equal to 2. Okay, so your goal, just like in any other two-step equation, is to get the variable term by itself. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So in this case, we're going to peel away this plus 0.6. We want to get rid of that. How do you undo plus 0.6 minus 0.6 to both sides? So let's subtract 0.6 from both sides. So when you do that, you're going to get a 0 here on the left. This becomes nothing. And you have n over 5 is now equal to 2 minus 0.6, right? Which is going to be 1.4. All right. So now you've got n over 5 equals 1.4. You don't want to know what 1/5 of n is worth. That's what this is, right? 1/5 n. You want to know what n is worth. So you're going to undo divide by 5 by multiplying both sides of your equation by 5. When you multiply this by 5, these are going to cancel out to 1. And you're going to get just 1n. 1n is equal to. And over here, you've got 5 times 1.4, because for every to one side, you got to do to the other. So 5 times 1.4 is 5 times 1 plus 5 times 0.4. That's 5 plus 2, which is going to be 7. Okay? And so your answer here is just n is equal to 7. And now you can plug it in and check, right? What's 7/5 worth? 7/5 is the same as 1 2/5, or 1.4. What's 1.4 plus 0.6? 2. So it works. So our answer is just going to be n is equal to 7. So you just put 7. That's that. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to do negative 4.5 equals negative 0.5 times x minus 7.1. Okay, that was a mouthful. Let's write that one down. So for the second problem here, you've got negative 4.5 is equal to, excuse me, is equal to negative 0.5 times the quantity of x minus 7.1. Okay, you've got different choices here. Because I don't really want to multiply 7.1 by 0.5, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually divide both sides to start by negative 0.5. And what that will do for me is it will cancel those two out, right? So those two factors are going to go away to 1 because they're the same on top and bottom. And what you end up with there is just going to be the quantity of x minus 7.1. You can break it out of the parentheses because there's no, the coefficient's now 1. So it's just whatever's inside is the value. And then over here, we can do this one pretty easily because 0.5 goes into 4.5 9 times, right? Because that's like 45 divided by 5, right? So that's going to be 9. So we know that that's going to be 9. And now it's a much simpler problem to work with. Now we can undo minus 7.1 by adding 7.1 to both sides. And what is 9 plus 7.1? 16.1. So that means the answer is just going to be 16.1. And I'm just going to put it in here to check it. I could plug it back in and check, but I think that would take too long to make the video too long, so I'm going to try to be more efficient. And there you go. There's your answer. Let's do the next problem. All right, so the next problem here is m over 9 plus 2 over 3. So number 3 here is m over 9 plus 2 over 3 is equal to 7 over 3. Okay, now whenever you're working with fractions, you have a choice. You can work with the fractions, just work with the rational numbers, or you can get rid of the fractions. So what I'm going to do on this problem is I'm going to give you two options here. I'm going to show you two ways to do this problem. The first way to do the problem is just to work with the fractions that you have in front of you, just like it was any other regular two-step equation. So you're going to isolate this m over 9 term by undoing the plus 2/3. So you're going to minus 2/3 to both sides. And when you do that, you're going to get 7/3 minus 2/3, which is 5/3. And over here, you're going to get a 0 pair, so you're just left with m over 9, right? So ultimately, at this point, you have m over 9 is equal to 5/3. You want to undo now the divide by 9, so you're going to multiply both sides by 9. And when you do that, the 9 over 1 and the 9 on bottom cancel out. So you're going to get m is now equal to 5/3 times 9. Remember, this is like 9 over 1, so you could recognize, hopefully, that there's a common factor that you can cancel out. So 3 and 9 can cancel by 3. You get 1 and 3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then you multiply across the top and bottom to finish strong. So that's going to be 5 times 3, which is 15, all over 1 times 1, which is 1. So the answer is that m is equal to 15, and that's your answer. And then you could test it out and see if it works. 15 ninths plus 2/3, is that equal to 7/3? Well, 15 ninths plus 2/3 is the same as 15 ninths plus 6 ninths. 15 ninths plus 6 ninths is 21 ninths, and 21 ninths is the same as 7/3, because if you divide 21 ninths by 3, top and bottom, you get 7/3. So, anyways, so we know the answer is going to work, but before I put the answer in, I want to show you an alternate way that you could do this problem by getting rid of the fractions. So here's an alternate strategy you could use. You could take that same exact problem, m over 9 plus 2/3 is equal to 7/3. You could realize that you can multiply this whole equation by anything you want. And since you can multiply both sides of the equation by anything you want, I'm going to multiply everything by 9. And I'm going to distribute that through the entire parentheses. In other words, the whole equation all turned to both sides. Now, 9m over 9 is the same as 1m, so that just becomes m. And then here you ask yourself, 3 goes into 9 how many times? 3. What's 3 times 2? So that's 6. Because really, what is it? It's 18 over 3, which is 6. And then here you've got 3 goes into 9 how many times? 3. What's 3 times 7? 21. So ultimately, what do you have? m plus 6 equals 21. Well, how do you undo plus 6? Minus 6 to both sides. This becomes a 0 pair. And look at that. M is 15. Same answer. Yeah. So whether you do it by getting rid of the fractions, by multiplying by a multiple of all the denominators of the fractions, or by just working with the fractions, you're going to get the same answer. So you could use either strategy. So the answer here is just 15. And then you go on to the next problem. All right, let me go back over here now. Let me do this problem for you guys. So number four says 12 is equal to 15 times the quantity of z minus 1/5. This problem I would probably just distribute and then combine like terms. So I would distribute the 15 through the parentheses. You're going to get 12 is equal to 15z. And then 15 times negative 1/5 is going to be a negative. 5 goes into 15 3 times, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So it's going to be negative 3. So this is really 15z minus 3, because 1/5 of 15 is 3, right? That makes sense. And now you're going to isolate the variable term. So you're going to want to get this 15z all by itself. And whatever you do one side, you got to do the other. So let's get that all by itself by peeling away that minus 3. How do you undo minus 3? You add 3 to both sides. Notice that this is going to become a 0. So what are you left with? You're left with 15z is equal to 12 plus 3, which is 15. And now this is probably pretty obvious at this point, but how do you undo times by 15? Divide by 15, and you'll notice that, guess what? Z is equal to 1. Doesn't matter whether it's 1 equals z or z equals 1. Ultimately, those two things are exactly the same. So the answer is that z equals 1. I would check this one. What's 1 minus 1/5? That's be 4/5. 4/5 times 15. Well, 5 goes into 15, 3, and then 3 times 4 is 12, so that works out perfectly. All right. The answer here should be z is 1. Put 1, we're good to go. And then we're going to do the next problem, okay? Run out of space, so I'm going to kind of add a page here. Okay. And so let's do the next problem. I'll try to get it done efficiently here. So number 5 is 4/3 equals negative 6e and then minus 5/3. Now, I think this is a prime candidate for getting rid of the fractions, really. But let's just do it both ways so you can see the process again. So if you wanted to just do it the normal way where you're working with the rational numbers, you want to get this negative 6e by itself. How do you undo minus 5/3? Well, you'd add 5/3 to both sides. So you're going to add 5/3 to both sides. What is 4/3 plus 5/3? That is 9/3. So 9/3, or alternatively 3, is equal to negative 6e. Now you want to undo times by negative 6. So how do you undo that? You divide by negative 6, not to one side but to both sides. And you get e is equal to the result of 3 divided by negative 6. Well, that's the same as negative 1/2, right? So that's negative 1/2. And there's your answer. So your answer is that e is equal to negative 1/2. If you want to have it like that, that's fine. If you want to write the variable on the left, that's fine as well. Either way, guess what e is equal to? Negative 1/2. In the alternate reality of how to do this problem, you could have gotten rid of the fractions by multiplying the whole thing by 3. So what would that look like? You get 4/3 equals negative 6e minus 5/3. You multiply the entire thing by 3. In all terms, distribute through all terms on both sides of the equation, right? And what you're going to get is 3 goes into 3 once, 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times negative 6e is negative 18e. And then 3 goes into 3 once, 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to get the e's by themselves. How do you undo minus 5 plus 5 to both sides? This becomes a 0 pair, and you're left with 9 is equal to negative 18e. And then, of course, you want to get rid of that times by negative 18, so divide by negative 18. Not one side, but both sides, and you get negative 1/2 is equal to e. So ultimately, was it a lot easier? No. But I want you guys to see how that is an option for you, and it's something you could choose to do. All right? So the answer either way is going to be negative 1/2. So negative space 1/2. And there's your answer. Let's do number 6. Okay, let me go back over here. All right, cool. So number 6 is going to be 0.5 times the quantity of r plus 2.75 is equal to 3. Now, once again, I don't really want to multiply 0.5 times 2.75. I don't feel like doing that. So if you don't feel like doing that, then you can always just divide by the 0.5 to both sides, because ultimately when you divide both sides by 0.5, you're going to cancel those two out and just get the value inside the parentheses. And that's pretty simple to do because there's only one term on the left. If there was more than one term on the left, you might want to be more cautious with that. But one term on the left, pretty simple to do this. So you get r plus 2.75 is now equal to, how many times does 0.5 go into 3? Well, dividing by 0.5 is the same as dividing by 1/2, which is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal 2. So we can just say that that goes in 6 times. Now we want to undo the plus 2.75, so minus 2.75 to both sides. And when you do that, you're going to get your answer, which is going to be, that's a 0. R is equal to, and 6 take away 2.75 is going to be, basically, I would take away the 0.75 first. You get 5.25, and then take away the 2. So it's going to be 3.25. And obviously, if you added 3.25 plus 2.75, you should get 6, and that works out perfectly. So the answer is that we get R's value is 3.25. And you can plug it back in. 3.25 plus 2.75, that's going to be 5 plus 1, which is 6. 6 times 0.5 is 3. It works. So we know the answer is correct. And so 3.25, put that in. We're good. Now let's go to the next problem. So our next problem here is 3/2. This is number 7. This is 3/2 equals 5 times d minus 1/2. Okay. Ultimately, what I would want to do here is get the variable term by itself. How do we get 5d by itself? Well, we want to peel away that minus 1/2. How do you undo minus 1/2? You add 1/2 to both sides. Whatever you do to one side, make sure you do to the other. What is 3/2 plus 1/2? That's 4/2. What is 4/2 really worth? 4/2 is really worth 2. So this is 2 is equal to 5d. Now you want to undo the times by 5, so divide both sides by 5, and you get the answer that d is equal to 2/5. And there's your answer. Check it. 5 times 2/5 is going to be 2. Is 2 take away 1/2 or 4/2 take away 1/2 equal to 3/2? Yes, it is. So we know the answer ultimately will work. So we just do 2/5 and we're done. And that's how you do it. Let's just stop this now.